News and notes. This is even worse than that. Trayvon Diggs out for the season. Huge injury. One of the best defensive players on maybe the best team in football. So that's Dallas cornerback Trayvon Diggs out for the season. They're at Arizona, so I don't know that we'll learn all that much. But how differently are we going to view this matchup going forward with Diggs out?
I mean, it's a downgrade, but they still have Stephon Gilmore, so it's not like there's a slouch on the other side. And for really the big thing about the Cowboys, and this goes for most teams throughout the course of history, as great as these shutdown corners are, and there's certainly not to discount them, the pass rush is so much more important. So it's still quarterbacks have such little time to throw against them. And so it just makes if they were a 10 in terms of an opponent, maybe now they're a 9. So his impact will be felt when they're facing some great offenses. But in a game like this, I don't think it really matters that much. I think Josh Dobbs is going to be running for his life.
Agreed 100%. One of my favorite things about the Cowboys defense when I studied them this offseason was how deep they were. And they've got a cornerback named Deron Bland who already has a great PFF grade, has allowed only a 50% catch rate on 8 targets this season. That's good. I think he'll do a good job replacing Diggs. It's not Diggs, but they'll be okay. I think they'll be okay.
All right. They also, their center, Tyler Biadasz, he has a hamstring injury. They don't think it's too serious, I guess, according to a report, but we'll check on that. Bryce Young is expected to miss this week's game. Andy Dalton would start in his place, and Young has been the most unproductive or the least productive quarterback thus far. He is averaging about 150 yards per game. He is averaging about 4.2 yards per attempt, which is, I guess it's like averaging 2.5 yards per carry, basically. I mean, it's that bad. So Dalton could give them a little bit of a spark and maybe make the receivers better. We will talk about that game later. Joe Burrow is still day-to-day. We talked about that game yesterday. We laid out all the plans, if Burrow's in, if Burrow's out. And if we'll have more info for you on Sunday morning, but we may not know everything. But we'll keep an eye on it, obviously. Jacoby Myers practiced in full. Puka Nacua missed practice, but he's expected to play. Boston Scott still in the concussion protocol, but Kenneth Gainwell was limited. Tyreek Hill practiced in full. Jalen Waddle still in the concussion protocol. Tank Dell practiced in full. Devontae Smith and Amari Cooper were limited. Usually, limited guys, it's a good, they should be okay, we hope. Unless it's like a new injury, which might be the case for Devontae Smith. Anybody worried about Devontae Smith right now?
No. And I believe Amari went from no practice Wednesday to limited on Thursday, which is what you like to see.
Trending in the right direction.
Anybody worried about Derrick Henry?
A little bit, mostly long-term as opposed to short-term, because the fact that he met with the media, I know he's within a few yards, I think maybe like 97 yards of Earl Campbell's. I think it's to get second for the Titans. I think Eddie George is first in terms of rushing yards. So he was talking about that, and he was answering a bunch of questions about, the team, whatever. So that's always usually a good sign. But the fact that he's missed practice and has a toe injury, we've seen a lot of turf toe this season already, or too much of it, I should say. So hopefully he's able to play. But I would 1,000% make sure Tyjae Spears is rostered.
Yeah.
Because, again, 29-year-old running back who's got maybe something that could linger, if he ever goes down or misses time, Tyjae's looked actually pretty decent. So I had a question. I was answering some Ask FFT questions this morning, and somebody said, probably shallow league. I picked up Kareem Hunt, but Roshan Johnson and Tyjae Spears are on my waiver wire. And I said, drop Kareem Hunt for Tyjae right now. And then if the injury report comes out later that Henry's fine, you drop Spears for Roshan because, without an injury, I think Roshan's in a better spot. So those are the type of things you should be looking at. He's still available in 40% of our leagues. And our leagues typically have higher roster percentage for guys like this than most. So I would go take a look just to see if he's out there.
Spears, yeah. DeAndre Hopkins was limited. Austin Eckler still missing practice. We're not planning on him going yet. Christian Watson missed practice after practicing on Wednesday, which was apparently part of the plan. So we're going to talk about this game with Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. Are you guys ranking either Aaron Jones or Christian Watson right now?
We've got Jones ranked number 1 fantasy running back. No surprise. Dylan sunk. And we'll see on Watson on Friday.
That's a number 1 fantasy running back, not the number one.
Yeah. The number 1 fantasy running back played on Thursday.
Yeah,
Matt Breida?
only like 10 points for Breida. It was a little disappointing. Zay Jones missed practice. Savon Ahmed missed practice for the Dolphins. So Devon A-Chain might be someone you want to add. Jeff Wilson actually might be someone you want to add. I'll talk about that in a bit with Beat the Waiver Wire. David Montgomery missed practice. We're not expecting him. Still concussion protocol for Anthony Richardson. Isaiah Pacheco was limited, so that's a good sign. Odell Beckham and Justice Hill missed practice. Logan Thomas still in the concussion protocol. Texans offensive lineman Laramie Tunsil practice. That's a good sign. But they are so beat up on defense. My goodness, another secondary injury. Derek Stingley, second-year cornerback for the Texans. He could miss a few weeks. However, Jalen Petrie, their second-year safety, he practiced. Did he practice? No, I don't think he practiced. And neither did Denzel Perryman, their linebacker. Kadarius Toney missed practice, and Dawson Knox missed practice again, which I think is, and something we'll talk about with Dalton Kincaid in a little bit, with Knox not practicing yet this week. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we've got one question for each game. We'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today